Hello to all my imaginary friends. It's good to be back. I am excited about life, and I wanted to share some thoughts that I had with you. Last year, I read 123 books. I didn't physically, read, but mainly it was listening to audiobooks, though probably 10 or 15 did I read the actual book. But I count listening to audiobooks as reading a book, and I've watched YouTube videos that also have scientific backing that listening to an audiobook is basically as good as reading with your eyeballs. And I also have dyslexia, so it's a lot harder to read with my eyeballs, and I'm a lot slower. So, I am a audiobook fiend, and you can fight me in the comments if there's any of you out there, and if you agree with audiobooks being awesome, also feel free to leave a comment on that. But this year, I've read a little bit over 50 books, so I'm on track to read about 100 books this year. And the last couple months, I've gotten into reading about philosophy. I am interested I read this book, or listened to this audiobook called Attentionism, and it's about how to cultivate your attention and why it's important that we look at attention as not just like paying attention in school or focusing on productivity, but really attention is the essence of our life. And I was like, wow, I really want to create opportunities for the people around me to be more attentional and have opportunities to engage. So one of the ways that I'm thinking about doing that is I'm thinking of having a salon at my house where we get together and talk about ideas and have dinner, and over dinner talk about ideas more. And so I was thinking, I should read up on philosophy to really get to know what to talk about at these things, and to have big ideas to share with, and then we can chew them over at our leisure. It was the kind of idea. And so with that in the background, I was reading Plato's Republic. And in Plato's Republic, it talks a lot about pleasure and pure pleasure. And according to Plato, pleasure is, or actually according to Robin Waterfield, who translated the Republic for the Oxford Classics, he says that Plato's contention is that pleasure is the satisfaction of a need. And so if it's not satisfying a need, if it's something that we get over and over again and it's insatiable, then it's not really pleasure in line with Plato's theory. And so Plato's talking about, I'll just read you the quote. It says, "It turns out, then, that people to whom intelligence and goodness are unfamiliar, whose only interest is self-indulgence, and so on, spend their lives moving aimlessly to and fro between the bottom and the halfway point, which is as far as they reach, but they never travel any further towards the true heights. They've never even looked up there, let alone gone there. They aren't really satisfied by anything real. They don't experience steady, pure pleasure. They are no different from cattle. They spend their lives grazing, and their eyes turned down and heads bowed towards the ground and their tables. And I was thinking, wow, this is a indictment of my lifestyle and our current technology scrolling lifestyle. I was thinking, wow, you could really easily swap out the word table in Waterfield's translation for tablet or phone. And yeah, I feel like so often we're looking down at our phone and not looking to higher things. The other day, I was listening to an educational YouTuber. I think her name is Zoe B. She's new to my feed. And she was talking about learning. And one of the things that I realized is I really try to consume a lot of educational YouTube content. But in reality, it's not educating me. I'm listening to it, I'm getting lectured, but I'm not really growing. And so I fool myself that I'm moving between the bottom and the middle, but I'm not really growing or progressing. And it feels so awesome to be reading The Republic, because I feel like, wow, these are really deep ideas, these are really substantial things. And I had heard a lot about The Republic, and I felt like when I read books on the history of philosophy, I kind of had an idea of what Plato and Socrates were about. But in reading The Republic, I feel like it's way different than I had heard. It's really about tyranny and what it means to be a tyrant, and it's about pleasure and pain and so many deeper things than a superficial explanation of Platonic reality and things like that. So it goes into some deep things. And I feel like this is really good because I experienced this in Plato, but I also experienced this in reading the Bible. There's so many times when I feel like that I am being elevated, that I'm looking towards something greater when I think about Jesus and when I read the Bible. And so I feel like I'm really excited about this idea of getting people together to talk about deep ideas, because I feel like that's really going to be the difference between us being cattle, between us being addicted to our phones and wandering aimlessly. And I feel like so often I watch productivity blogs or read productivity books, and it's always about how you need to stay consistent and you need to really be focused. But I think the unspoken thing that Plato touches on is that the only way you can quit moving to and fro between the bottom and the middle is by really focusing on greater things, thinking about things that are beyond our superficial reality, beyond the scrolling on the phone, and looking towards greater things. Well, thanks for your time, my imaginary friends. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later.